Okay, we have a new banking law that was approved in 2013, and it has changed the whole landscape of the banking industry in Bolivia, and in particular microfinance. We are actually the biggest operator in Bolivia right now. We have a market share of around 23%. And even for us, this means changing the way we do things. Now we have interest rate ceilings, we have minimum rates that we have to pay on deposits, and by the end of 2018, we have to have 60% of our portfolio with a ceiling of 11.5. So going from 18 to 11.5 is going to be one of the bigger challenges we have. Also, in these 60%, the loans have to be in what they call productive sector and housing loans. And we're coming from a portfolio that lends particularly to trade, to commerce, to services. So we also have to change not only the rates, but also the targets, the clients that we reach.
Speaking of this regulatory challenge, from the perspective of the board, one element that is very important to us is that management has been able to keep actually a very open dialogue with the government at many levels, with the regulator, as well as with the president, the vice president, members of the cabinet, and we think that's very important, first of all, to preempt and not be surprised as a bank of what's coming, what changes may happen, and over time to hopefully persuade a little bit the government to consider in their policy making the impact that they have on the ultimate client. What has troubled us the most is not just the impact it has on the bank, is that these new regulations at the end of the day directly impact the clients, in that many of them will no longer be served by the formal financial system because we simply won't be able to afford serving the smallest clients. And perhaps due to that dialogue, even this year we saw a slight flexibility in the definition of certain regulations which allow us more time to comply, not just BancoSol, but the entire financial system, more time to comply with very, very stringent regulations. The question of who should be the right liaison with a regulator is an important one. First of all, it does depend on what the issue is. Given the challenges we're facing in the bank in terms of regulations that directly affect the operations, a cap on interest rates, requirements for quotas about a certain sector, I truly believe management is primarily responsible for that dialogue. Having said that, as chair of the board, what is important is that to ensure that the bank itself has the open dialogue with the regulator, and at a certain point in time to understand where the regulator is coming from. So through Kurt, through our management, we have had those conversations. And in addition, in a mix of the role of board member, but also as shareholder, we do have frequent conversations as necessary with the regulator when there are changes in shareholding. When there is a change in shareholder, it's both the general manager and myself that go visit the regulator to explain the changes, to explain why the new shareholders that are coming in will strengthen the bank and ensure the regulator is comfortable with those shareholder changes.
When we talk to the regulators, and that being the central bank, the superintendency, even the finance ministry, we go in different roles. We go as BancoSol, we go as ASOFIN, which is the Association of Microfinance Institutions. We also go as commercial banks. I myself have had different roles there, as president of ASOFIN in the past, as president of ASOBAN, the commercial banks. I was also chairman of that. I'm vice chairman of the Confederación de Empresarios, which is like the highest association of the private sector. Sometimes we even joke, and they ask me, are you coming as CEO of BancoSol or as chairman or as vice chairman? So we use all the different possibilities that we can in order to have this interaction with them. Not that often as we would like to. In the past it could have been once a week, once every 15 days. Today it's once every 2 months maybe. And we also use some other events, press conferences where we know that they are going to be there, different activities that have to do with the government where they invite us, presentations of new programs that they have been launching in the market. So we attend all these events also and take advantage of these opportunities of being there with them. No media, that's one thing that we have learned, that when we go to the press directly and we state something publicly, they don't like that, which used to work in the past, not anymore. So one thing that we have learned is that we have to go to them and talk to them directly when they give us the opportunity. The new banking law came in a moment where the economic situation was very good for Bolivia. The prices, international prices of commodities were really high. And as you know, Bolivia is a big exporter of gas, oil and minerals, and the prices were, again, high. But now the situation is changing a little bit. The economic situation in general is changing. I agree with the idea that when we start to see the decline in the economy, and with all these pressures that come from the new law, they might be able to back up a little bit to negotiate with us new conditions for the law, because they don't want to see banks going bankrupt or anything. So they might be more flexible. I agree with that idea. One could say that when you have an environment that is friendly, when you don't have regulators, coming up with different things all the time, it's good for you and for your operation. I think that all the issues that we have today in Bolivia has made us a better institution, because we know that we have to be efficient, we know that we have to have professional staff working with us, we know that we have to look at every line in our balance sheet in order to reach the goals that we have been setting for the bank. And that environment of having all that big competition has made us more and more efficient, more professional.